On March 3, 2020, Officer Lagasse of the Akron Police Department was dispatched to a residential address for a welfare check. Upon arrival, nothing initially seemed out of the ordinary. The front door was shut, and a silver four-door car was parked in the driveway. As he approached the front door, he noticed another Akron police cruiser approaching. He knocked on the door, but there was no immediate response. Knocking a second time, he suddenly heard the distressing sound of a female screaming from inside the residence. The ensuing body cam footage captures this pivotal initial encounter.
She's on the ground. So there's.
Who is it?
My mom. There's someone broke in the back window.
All right, hold on.
And she's on the ground. And there's
Hold on. Where's your mom? Okay, stay right here.
No, there's so much blood. No, please.
Man.
She's in the court now. No.
Stop. Hold on, we gotta figure out what's going on. Can you sit down? Can you sit down?
Get that 32 roll real quick. We got a female down.
Take her outside. Come on. Come on.
Is she gonna be okay?
Come on.
Come on.
Come on. You just need to cooperate with me, all right?
I want my dad.
Huh?
I want my dad.
What happened? What's going on? What's going on?
We heard a bang. We heard a bang. And she told me to get out. And then I heard screaming. So I came back and she was on the ground.
Okay, you heard a
I ran
bang.
out back. There was a bang. Someone broke in.
Okay. What is your name?
Sydney.
Are you cut?
I don't think so.
Yeah, you're cut somewhere.
I don't think so.
Yeah, your hand.
No, I was helping her. I grabbed her.
All right, stop. I'll tell you what, can you sit on the ground here real quick? Come on. Come on.
You said the ground.
Yeah, you're fine right there.
No.
You're fine right there.
I grabbed the knife.
Before the Britain Street exit ramp. A truck lost some concrete.
This is minor. They might have a more, I don't know, check that victim in there. She's got cuts on her hands. I don't know what they have in there, but there's a female down in there. Yeah.
What's going on?
I don't know. We just got
the dad. I'm the dad.
Okay,
Sydney. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Daddy!
What? What the hell? Where's my wife?
The window's broken, Dad!
Where?
The back window's broken in!
So you're gonna have to.
Daddy!
There's officers inside there, so.
You okay?
I don't know! There
Go
was
check
so
the
much
lady in the
blood!
house, okay? She's got minor cuts and all this stuff. It's pretty bad up there. What's your name, ma'am? Sorry, what's your name again? She's got cuts on her hands.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. Take care of her.
Dave, I think this is, are you dad?
Yeah, I'm the dad.
Can you stay here with them?
We have another, I'll call for another med unit for her.
Somebody has my wife.
12. Can you start another men unit on here? We have a female conscious of breathing cuts to her hands.
Fires. Oh.
Copy.
You said your name's Sydney? Ma'am, is your name Sydney? What's your last name?
Jeep's probably
No, he's in Talmadge. Yes, I talked to him.
What is it? Powell. What's your date of birth? Huh?
Yeah.
What's your date of birth?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have another one
no.
coming.
No, but somebody's got to take.
I have another med unit coming.
All right, you got some gloves? I got some.
Right here.
Sydney Powell and her mother, Brenda Powell, were swiftly transported to the hospital for medical attention. Law enforcement promptly secured the scene and initiated a neighborhood canvass in an effort to unravel the events of that fateful day. Detectives meticulously searched through the residence, revealing a broken window and disheveled blinds. On the floor lay a large knife, situated near the spot where Brenda had previously been found, hemorrhaging. Officers entered the basement, methodically clearing it of any potential suspects. In one corner of the basement, a closet bore telltale signs of blood spatter on the drywall, seemingly originating from the floor above, although no occupants were found within. Furthermore, officers engaged in conversations with several neighbors, the majority of whom had neither witnessed nor heard any notable occurrences leading up to these events. Sydney Powell's father, Steve, was promptly transported to the police station to confer with detectives, while medical professionals attended to his wife and daughter. The ensuing interview with Steve offers valuable insights into what may have transpired on that tumultuous day, shedding light on the unfolding events.
This is the consent to search here. How do you spell your first name?
Steven.
Move it over. Just gives us. Who'd you get a call from? What happened?
Got a call from him.
Call from me. Oh, okay.
He said there was a call, went out, a distress call from the University of Mount Union where my daughter was going, and said, female in distress. And I said, well, that's funny because Brenda's there, my wife. So I said, well, let me call. So I called Brenda, and it rings and rings on the cell phone, no answer. I call Sydney back, rings and rings and rings, no answer. I call Brenda back, ring, no answer. I'm pacing around. I call Jeep back, and as I'm on the phone with him, telling him there's no answer, my doctor calls me back. I said, oh, Mom's on the phone with Mount Union. I said, well, cops are on the way. And she went, there's been a break-in, and she just started going off. She said, what? She said, there's been, somebody broke into the house. There's blood everywhere. And I'm like, stop. And then that's when I called. I'm sure there was conversations after that, but I'm not going to remember the detail. She was hysterical and crying. I called Jeep back and said, I don't know what I told you. I don't know if I said it was legit or it's the cops on the way. There's been a break-in, and I left. Drove home and saw about.
So at first, when you talked to her, she said that your wife was on the phone with Mount Union.
Yes.
And
as soon as I said cops are on the way, the hysterics started.
Is she still attending Mount Union?
Well, As far as we knew up until today, yes, but apparently not for the last, I don't know, maybe couple weeks. Because I tried to get on, I don't know, this was a couple weeks ago, I tried to get on the website to I like to check the balance, and she's been coming home on and off on the weekends a little, just odd, little frequently. Not never seemed odd for sorts, you know. I mean, she acted perfectly normal. But she came back, and I'm like questioning, well, why aren't you at school? Why are you coming home? And, you know, it's all the same, just, you know, the vague non-answers. And so she turned off her like Life 360 app. But I think on that app, you can't see where she's going. You can kind of see highlights of where the phone was. Well, you know, I'm kind of looking, I'm like, going, well, you're not where you're supposed to be. This is kind of weird. So I called her on it, and I said, you know, Mount, because I went on, so then I tried to go on the Mount Union website, and I say, I figured, I was going to see if there's anything on that. Parents only have so much, you know.
Right.
I'm willing to pay the bill and everything, but if you want to find anything about it, you're out of luck.
Right.
So, but I figured I'm going to try. So I sign on. It says your password or your login or password ID doesn't work. I'm like, well, that's weird. So I recover my password, and I put in the right answer, and it didn't work. And I did that a few times, and I texted her back and said, something's not working. What's wrong? She comes up with something that says the website's down, basically, and you know, but I'm working on it. So a few days pass later. Nothing seems out of the ordinary until maybe it was today, I tried to get back on. Well, Mount Union calls me today because I sent them an email that says, my user ID is this, my ID is this, my password's not working, my recovery answer won't work, and I know where I was born, I know my car, and it doesn't, when you type in your recovery email, the system just, it didn't recognize it. So I sent Mount Union Billing an email and says, basically, what's wrong? So she calls me back today and says, well, the reason you can't get on, long story short, is your daughter's unenrolled. So I went, what's going on? So I text Sydney. I'm like, oh, give me a call. I have a question to ask you. I call her, no answer. I say, give me a call, question to ask. I have a question to ask you. And I look on that little Life 360 app, and her car was at home. I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. So I leave my phone at home so she can't track me. And I go home, and there she is. She's at home. Perfectly normal. She's crying because I said, what's going on? Are you not going to school? She goes, I'm overwhelmed in school, and I don't really like what I'm doing, and it seems like it's a waste of my time and your money. I said, well, but that's all part of it. Nobody's going to tell you you need to do what you're doing when you're 20. You need to figure it out. But you have to work through the problem. You can't just ignore the problem and have it go away. It's not.
I'm sorry, when did you have that conversation?
Today, like 11:30. I don't remember. Yeah, it was before I left work. I left work because it was before lunch. It was maybe around 11, because I was probably there from 11 to 11:30. So from her phone call. So that's what I said. You know, my recommendation is call the school back, call the student union, get reinstated, and then if you have to take the summer off, take the summer off. Figure out what you want. She was supposed to take a summer class because she changed a couple majors, and that's what she goes, all my friends have their shit together, and I don't. I said, well, I'm 54 and I don't have my shit together. You know, don't look at it that way. You need to work the problem. You can't just have the problem sit there, and ignoring it is not going to do you any good. So I went back. I called my wife from my daughter's phone. She picks up. She was working down at Children's. And she goes, what's wrong? And I basically told her, I said, you know, I mean, Sydney, I think the reason we can't get on is because she's unenrolled. She hasn't been going to school. She goes, well, and then we talked to Jill, her boss, and says, I'll see if I can come home. So I left. On the way home, I either on my way back to work or when I'm at work, I call Brenda, and she's like, well, I'm just pulling in now. So I let it go, and then I get a text from Brenda that says, she says something to the effect of she was on the phone waiting for someone from Student Affairs to call me back. And that was at 12:36. She said, how much was the check that they're returning? Because Mount Union told me, too, before, with the phone conversation, we're returning your check. I'm like, and nobody would return a check. So I said, I texted her back at 12:36, and I said I had no idea. It was electronic. I said, check on the scholarship too, make sure she didn't lose that at 12:37. At 12:39, I got on the bank account and I said, maybe. I go, $5,435. And then at 12:41, what did you discuss with her? And that was it.
So 12:41 was the last.
12:41 was the last, and I don't know how to tell what time I got his call. Recent. Been 12:54. 12:54 seems like it, because then I called, maybe it was a little before that. Maybe it was 12:51. That sounds maybe right.
What is your phone?
33. So at 12:49, I called, and I think it went to Brenda. I don't know if it connected or not. I don't know how to do that. 12:51, a call from Jeep. Then at 12:52, I called Brenda. 12:53, I called Sydney. 12:53, I called Brenda. 12:54, I called Jeep and said there's no answer. Here, you can look at it. So I don't know. So I called Jeep and said there's no answer. Then while I'm on the phone with Jeep, Sydney calls back, and that was that conversation. Hi.
Christy?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Crystal,
Hi.
victim assistant. How are you?
Okay.
This is Miranda.
Hi. So then that was it. Then after that, then I left once I talked to Sydney, and I hightailed it home.
How are you doing? Can I do anything for you right now?
No, not right now. Go where I need to be.
Yes.
That's fine. That's fine. That's
No, how long has she been acting funny?
just been a couple weeks. I mean, yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't remember when she came home that first time, kind of out of the blue, but that was.
She said she was stressed out.
She told me that today. That she was overwhelmed.
Is she on any medication? Or
Nope. No.
Has she ever tried like marijuana?
I don't know. I didn't think she drank until the first time she drank, and then I think she
How long ago
realized.
was that?
It was last year. It was her
Oh.
freshman year. And I'm sure she does. I'm not going to be,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say she doesn't, but I don't think it was ever a problem, but not an expert in that field.
Has she ever had any psychological problems in the past?
No. She's always been, shy and, reserved, and that was always the problem is, she never says anything. Well, Brenda said she didn't realize she was having her period until tampons were missing.
Oh.
Excuse my language. So that's just the kind of person that she was. It was all, internalized, and that's why I told her now. I said, well, nobody can help you if you don't tell what the problem is.
Did she say anything else about the break-in or anything like that?
Just hysterics. Said there was a break-in and there was blood everywhere, and I'm like, where's your mother? And she's just nothing.
What is your daughter's phone? Do you know that off there? Or is it-
Not that I don't,
You're
but
probably-
this does.
Yeah, you're probably like me. I don't know.
I don't know. I'm barely. I know mine.
I just have the names in there.
I'm not even sure if I know how to do Oh, here it is. 33.
That's Sydney.
Yeah.
S-Y-D-N-E-Y.
Correct.
Do you know your wife's?
Yeah, that's 33.
Were you able to go in the house at all?
I made it in far enough to see the back fit. When you go into the front door, you come around the kitchen, you go in, you can see there's like a pass-through between the kitchen and the family room. The back of the house, I could see the right hand, there's two big sliding windows. I could see that window was clearly, it looked like it was busted, and the blinds they looked like they were pushed in. Went down the hallway probably about 2 feet, just enough to see blood all the way down the hallway, and then somebody told me I gotta go. As I was yelling, and there was no response from Brenda.
Now, the back door, the sliding door, do you guys use that at all?
No, there's a couch in front of it. We do in the summer, when the couches move, the love seats usually move from the sliding doors here. The couches you moved over into like this area, and we can go back out that back door for the patio and stuff.
And that's locked?
Uh-huh.
Do you have like a safety?
There's a lock, and there's a lock on the bottom of it too.
Okay.
And the sliding glass one, there's a lock, but I'm sure the button wasn't
On the window? Or
on the window. There's sliding windows is what was busted open.
Right, I saw
Okay, yeah, there's the sliding door that we haven't used it since last probably fall. Once we got our Christmas tree on Thanksgiving, we moved the couch out of the way, put the tree in that corner.
Well,
Shortly following the interview, Steve Powell received the heartbreaking news of his beloved wife, Brenda Powell's, demise due to her severe injuries. The Summit County Medical Examiner's findings concluded that Brenda had succumbed to a combination of sharp and blunt force injuries, leading to her death being classified as a homicide. Law enforcement meticulously examined the available evidence and explored Sydney's initial report of a break-in by an intruder who allegedly assaulted her mother on that fateful day. However, the evidence gradually steered investigators away from this initial theory, ultimately leading them to a startling conclusion. It was Brenda Powell's own daughter, Sydney, who had allegedly carried out the attack. At the time of the investigation, Sydney remained hospitalized due to the cut wounds on her hands, rendering her unresponsive to the detectives' attempts to piece together the events. Despite multiple attempts to question her, Sydney sat in silence, her gaze fixed on the investigators. Faced with Sydney's uncooperativeness, the investigators turned their attention to her circle of friends and family in an effort to unravel the mystery behind why a seemingly reserved and timid young lady had resorted to such a vicious assault. They decided to bring in her friend Lauren in the hopes that she might shed some light on the situation.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
If you sure you don't want anything to drink, or?
I'm good, I promise.
Hi, this is my partner. This is Detective Bertina
How are
King.
you?
I'm good, how are you? Nice to
Looks like
meet
I've seen you before, though.
Maybe.
You ever come here to see your dad?
I did when he retired.
Okay.
I haven't been here often.
So, Lauren, first of all, thanks for coming in.
Yeah.
We know that this whole thing's difficult for you, and you're trying to make sense of it, and so are we.
Mm-hmm.
We're just talking to you about what you know, not about what you've heard or anything.
Okay.
Just trying to find out as much as we can, so we can, kind of make sense of this ourselves. So if you want a break or anything, just let us know. But why don't we start off with, tell us about Sydney. How did you, when did you first meet, and how long have you known each other?
I've known Sydney for 6 years. We met the first day of summer gym in high school, and then we were best friends ever since. Very close.
And what are you doing now?
I'm at school.
Okay, where do you go to school at?
I go to the University of Mount Union.
Okay. And what year are you in there?
I'm a sophomore.
Now, we understand that Sydney was your roommate at Mount Union?
Yes, she was for last year and then this year until she left.
Okay. So how did that work? Did you both plan on going to Mount Union or? Okay.
Yeah, she liked it first and I was like, I don't know. And then I visited there and I was like, oh yeah, this is the place to be. And then when we both got accepted, we were like, oh, we're definitely being roommates.
And so you've been friends ever since your freshman year at St. B?
Mm-hmm.
Go over each other's houses, everything like that?
Yep.
Okay. So what are you studying at Mount Union?
Education.
Education?
Yes.
And what was Sydney taking?
Well, she started off in exercise science freshman year, her first semester, but then she didn't like the classes, so she switched over to psychology and sociology, but then she didn't really like that, so this year she switched to education, and then she didn't like that either, and that's one of the reasons she left, is because she really couldn't find what she liked, so she was trying to figure it out.
So tell us about the time you spent together at Mount Union. You said that she really wasn't couldn't find something that she was interested in.
I think her most interest was psychology, like learning about that stuff. But other than just like hanging out with her friends, like educational wise, it was kind of hard for her, I think.
Where did you stay at there? Where do you stay at?
Freshman year we were in a dorm room, and then this year we were in a suite, so it's like a dorm room but like two, so we had like neighbors, and we shared a bathroom.
But it's actually like Mount Union housing. It's not like a separate apartment or anything.
It's not union housing.
So it's just you and Sydney?
Mm-hmm.
And now, were there some other groups of students that you hung around with frequently? Neighbors of yours?
Yeah, so like I said, our suite mates, which was Alyssa, who was a cheerleader with me, and then our friend Brittany, who was in like the townhouses, so she didn't live with us, but she was really close with us because she was in our sorority together, and she was also a cheerleader.
Now, was Sydney in that same sorority?
Yes.
What sorority is that?
Alpha Chi Omega.
Now, do they have a separate house on campus there, or how does that work?
So they do have a house on it, but they only have like one apartment, so you can't really like live there.
So it's Alpha Chi
Omega.
Omega?
Yeah.
And did you both join together, or how did that go?
So we both went through recruitment together, and we both picked the same sorority.
What attracted you to that sorority?
The girls, the vibe that they gave off, like everything that they stood for.
And what was that? Tell us about that.
Well, I think the girls are just really nice in general, but the philanthropy they stand for is the Domestic Violence Shelter of Alliance, and even though I've never been like in any of those like situations, I think that was a good cause.
Okay. So you didn't. There's no actual house, but there's everybody just belonged to the sorority and just stayed at their dorms. Is that?
Yeah.
How often did you get together with those girls?
Every Sunday we have chapter, which is like kind of like the meetings, and so if we had events, we were with them. So anytime we had an event or on Sunday chapters, so often.
So when you first got to Mount Union, how did it go for Sydney? Did she seem to be? I mean, you mentioned that she didn't really, find a niche as far as what she wanted to study. But I mean, did she ever talk to you about her classes and how that's going, or did you share that with each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think we talked about classes a lot because we did homework together a lot. I think she was like I said, I think she struggled in her classes. I don't think her grades were the best, but she didn't really tell me that because I wasn't really struggling. But I think you could tell, kind of, especially at the end, that she just wasn't like doing her best. In high school, she was very like good grades and everything, so I think it was kind of a shock for her not to be like to struggle. I think a little bit.
Think it's like a study habit thing, because it's a big difference from college to.
I think so, because like in high school sometimes you can procrastinate a little bit, and in college you definitely can't.
So she just wasn't. Did it seem like how did this like kind of change affect her? I mean, did it affect her moods at all? Did she seem concerned about it? Or tell us about that.
I think she kept a lot of stuff hidden because when we were just talking or with our friends, she always seemed happy. Like she seemed okay. Like I said, I couldn't tell until the end where she was kind of just like struggling and she kind of was sad and just like, Lauren, I don't know what to do. I'm like, well, you just need to find what makes you happy and like just you need to find what you like to do. And I don't know. I think it did make her a little upset because she was confused. I think she felt like everybody around her kind of had figured out what they wanted to do and she hadn't. So I think that kind of affected her.
So when do you think that it really started affecting her? That like, look, this is, I'm really having problems, and this is I have to. I mean, look, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Tell us when you think that it really started affecting her, like often.
Like her anxiety. Well, I know she's had anxiety for a while, but I think this last semester, like starting coming back in January, is when it really started that she was kind of more like upset because she really didn't know what she wanted to do. Like she didn't like her classes because that's when she started the education classes, and like my friends and I were worried for her because we didn't know what was going on because she wouldn't tell us, and like there was problems with like housing or something. Just like we shared a room and had like put names on the doors, and her name wasn't on it when we got back, and we were confused about that. And she said it's because they messed up because she didn't sign the forms right or something, but it kind of never got fixed. And then she left, and my friends and I were just worried because we didn't even know if she got any books for her classes. Like we were trying to ask her questions like that, and like she's like, no, I have books and I have stuff for my classes, but like I do homework all the time, and I don't think I saw her doing a lot of homework the last couple of weeks. So I think this last semester, this January part when she was there, kind of affected her the most.
So, had you hung out over the Christmas break?
Yeah.
And was she talking about what was she talking about then? Was she talking about the next semester, or did you guys talk about school at all?
I don't think we talked about school. Maybe living situations, because for like junior year, we were talking about living in the townhouses and like what we were gonna need. So I think we were talking about living situations, but like school-wise and class-wise, I don't think so much.
So when you came back from Christmas break, you didn't see her name on the door.
Yeah.
And when did she come back?
She came back the same day.
Same day?
Yeah.
Did you come together?
No.
Okay.
No, she came in her own car.
And so take us through again. Her name wasn't on the door.
Yeah.
And how did?
So I guess the dorm people do that?
Yeah, so the RAs do that.
Okay.
And so we were like, oh, what happened? Like, maybe you should go ask the RA, because people were asking, like, why is her name on the door? I'm like, I don't know. So she was kind of hesitant to ask the RA, so that's when we were kind of just like, what's going on? Like, my sweet mate, Alyssa, and I were asking, like, oh, what's going on? And Sydney's just said that when she signed out the forms wrong, so she was meeting with residents, like, a lot in the last couple weeks to kind of figure out, like, to get her stuff back, because then when her name wasn't on the door, her dorm key, like the thing we get into the dorm building, it stopped working. And so, but then it started working again, because she went over to Res Life and they turned it back on. So I don't know what happened, really, but that's all she said.
So so when she got there, it didn't work, and then she went and talked to them.
Yeah.
And then, so is this like, so the key is the outside door, and then you have to use one for the inside door?
No, so there's there's a key card, like our Mount Union ID, and that's when you swipe in, so like you can get into the building.
Okay.
And then there's the actual key for the room. The swiper wasn't working, the key swiper wasn't working.
Okay.
So I think she just told us that she didn't fill like the housing form out, like this, when we had to come back, we had to fill out a form saying we're coming back, and she said she signed something off wrong. So I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what she told us. And then she just, like I said, she met with Res Life a lot, like a couple weeks trying to get them figured out so she could, like, because she was staying, and then she ultimately decided not to stay, and so she had to return her key and stuff.
So when when she got her stuff working again, how was it like day to day? I mean, was she leaving the dorm? Was she coming back?
Yeah, cause
And what were you thinking about that at that time?
I was confused because we've told each other everything for a long time, so I was confused in the sense that I didn't know what was happening, and I was just like, she could trust me, she could tell me if something was wrong, I'd want to help her, but she didn't really tell us anything. Like she didn't tell Alyssa anything either, or Brittany. She did go to class, so she was leaving the building, but usually her and I were together because our classes were similar, so we'd be coming back at the same time. But I saw her use her key, but like I'd use my key too. But yeah, we were together most of the time, coming back from classes and stuff.
Do you have any of the same classes?
We had the same class, but not at the same time.
Did you actually know for sure if she was actually physically in the classroom?
Cannot say I do know that. She told us she was, and I mean, she was, like, we both had French class, and she was doing her French homework with me, so I knew she was doing stuff with the same class, but I don't know if she actually was going to class.
Okay. Was there any, like you mentioned Alyssa and Brittany, any other, like maybe the sorority sisters in any of her classes?
No, but she was also close to a girl named Audrey. She was in our sorority, but she was also a cheerleader. A lot of her friends were my friends, because I'm a cheerleader, so she hung out with a lot of the people I hung out with.
So you don't know if she was actually ever sitting in a seat in a classroom?
I can't tell you that, no, because we had classes at the same time. And if we didn't have class at the same time, it was because I was in a class and she was in a study room because she didn't have class at that time.
What was she doing? I mean, was she at the dorm room a lot, or how can you describe for us what she was doing when she was not in class or supposed to be in class?
When she wasn't in class, if she was waiting for me, she'd wait in the study room, so that like Mount Union had like rooms that you can study in. So she'd wait for me until I get out of class, and then we'd go do stuff together. But if she not, she'd be in the dorm room in her bed on her laptop.
Did you notice any change in her mood? Was she talking about anything, or?
I could tell she was getting more upset, like more sad. And I told her, I was like, I'm here, like, you can tell me, I'm here for you. If you need anything, I'm here. But she never really opened up until she was leaving and saying that she was struggling with school and that she was kind of trying to figure out what was going on. And that's when I started to try to help her. And then she ultimately decided to leave, which I thought would maybe be good for her, just to get her mind off the rest of the semester and then come back or go to Akron or something the next fall semester, kind of hoping that would help her.
So when was that night conversation, as opposed to when she left?
That conversation, maybe a week before she left, a week or so before, saying we were talking about it. We were just like, I was like, well, Sydney, I understand if you might have to take classes or summer classes. If you want to come back to Mount, I'm all for it. Like, we love you and we want you here. But, like, I understand if you go home, like, my friends and I talked about this without Sydney too, but if she goes home and she just needs to go to Akron just to be at home, just to be somewhere where she can maybe try to find a new work ethic and something that makes her want to go to class, we're all for it. And she's like, I appreciate that. I really want to come back to Mount. That's like where all my friends are. That's where I want to learn, even if I'm a semester behind. That was kind of what she said.
So when did she actually leave? Can you put a day on that, something that reminds you of when she actually left?
The Tuesday before the incident. A whole week before.
A week before?
Yeah,
is that the last time you actually saw her?
I saw her the Monday before the incident happened. That week she came back to Mount to watch The Bachelor with me and my friends at my friend's townhouse. She came over.
Did she stay where she was staying after she left, or what did you believe? Where did you believe she was staying?
She told us she was home. That she left. We watched The Bachelor, and then she left to go back home. And she texted us when she came home.
Like I made it home?
Yeah, like she made it home.
Okay. So you think that before this happened, she'd been at the house a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she leaves about a week before the incident, then you're thinking she's at home?
Yeah.
And then she came back to
No.
just that Monday?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Lauren, let's talk about this. You're her best friend, and I know this is difficult, but tell us about her relationship with her parents.
Her and her parents had a really good relationship. Like, her mom and her were best friends. Probably, like, they did everything together. Like, one of the reasons she went home was to be with her mom. They were always close. She never said anything bad about her mom. She never ever talked about having an argument with her mom. Like, I can't recall every time she'd be going home, she's like, I can't wait to see my mom. Or when she goes home for weekends, she'd be like, oh, my mom wants me to come home so we can hang out and like watch movies. And she loved being home. And she had a good relationship with her dad too. Like, I know that her and her dad liked to watch like Star Wars together, and he always like cooked food at the house. Like, he liked cooking, and she'd always talk about how good his food was and what they would get each other for Christmas and things about spring break. Like, she loved being home like with her family.
So when she's talking to you about, the problem she's having at school, did she mention that she tried talking to her parents at all, or that they were going to have, that they were involved in her future plans at all?
Yeah, I know she definitely, especially when she left, she talked to her mom about leaving. They kind of made that decision together to leave Mount. Like, she told them that. She didn't tell them for a while, but I knew when everything kind of built up, she was telling them how she was struggling with school. And then when she left, I know that was a decision between like her and her parents, kind of mutual type decision.
Now, when you say that she told them and it was like a mutual decision, is that her telling you that?
Mm-hmm.
Is that her telling you that she?
She told me that she talked to her parents and they decided that it would be best for her to just not finish the rest of the semester.
So, as far as you know, based on what Sydney was telling you, she was discussing this situation. Did you think her parents knew based on what she told you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But you never ever talked to the parents, all right?
No, I haven't seen her parents in a while.
So you last saw her, which would have been like a week before the incident, and then had she removed all her things, or did you get the impression that she was moving out at that point for good?
When she told me that Tuesday morning, we woke up and she was talking, she's like, I need to tell you something. My family and I decided that it'd be better to take the rest of the semester off, and I have to leave today. And then she like packed up all of her stuff and kind of told all of her friends, and then she left that Tuesday with all of her stuff, all of her bedding, all of her clothes, all of her items.
And that was a Tuesday before the incident happened?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. And then she drives up to see you the Monday night before?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Did she say anything that day when you were watching The Bachelor, or how did that? Did you ask how she was doing, or tell us about that?
Yeah, we asked how she was doing, and she said she was good. Like, she acted like what we would see as normal. Like, she was laughing, she was having fun. She said she got jobs because she worked at the Akron Rubber Ducks. Mm-hmm. She's worked there for a couple seasons, so she was gonna go back there. And then she also said she was looking for another job, and like everything was good, and she was trying to figure out like for next year and all this stuff. And she was gonna talk to her parents about housing, trying to come back to Mount. That was her main thing. But she seemed fine. Like, she seemed completely, like I said, she was laughing and we were goofing off and doing girl stuff and everything like that.
When she's, once you got to Mount Union, or anytime actually, did Sydney ever drink alcohol at all, or she did? Mm-hmm. Okay, just kind of describe that for us. We've all been college age, so, and.
No. I don't usually like drink a lot, and if I do, it's fun. But she liked to drink. There was an incident in the fall of our freshman year where she drank too much, and she wasn't alcohol poisoned, but she did end up in the hospital. and her mom came and got her at like 2 in the morning, but she did end up in the hospital that day because she drank, like mixed drinks and drank too much. But usually after that, her and I were together, and if she did drink, I usually kind of like slowed her down after I knew kind of her limit because she's small, so I kind of knew her limit. But she did drink.
What situation was that in? Was it like just like a party or something, or?
I was in the dorm room watching movies because I didn't want to go out. So she went out with some other of her friends. I wasn't really close with them. I was close with one of them, but not the rest. And I got a call around like 11 saying Sydney was at a party and she was throwing up and she just wasn't good and to come pick her up. So I kind of went and got her. And then she wasn't feeling good, and so I brought her back to the dorm, and she wouldn't get out of the car, and I had guys with me trying to help, and then the RA came out, and then the RA called campus security, and the campus security called the ambulance, and then she was taken to the hospital.
Did she have any friends that like wasn't in your friend circle there, like friends that she had maybe made on her own that you're aware of?
Not really, because usually she was either in the dorm or hanging out with us or sorority girls, but I knew all the sorority girls too, that they were my friends. We had a lot of the same friends.
So her circle of friends pretty much consisted of the sorority girls that you were in and some of the cheerleaders that she met through you.
Yeah.
Had you ever seen her taking any drugs or anything, or any medications for nothing? Nothing at all?
No.
Is there anything that you know of that, did you hear from anybody else that she might have done that? Have you ever heard anything like that?
No, I have not.
So, what is your phone number? What phone number do you have, Lauren?
33.
You guys text a lot?
We did, yeah.
Okay.
So you mentioned an Allison?
Audrey.
Oh, I'm sorry, Audrey. Do you know Audrey's phone number off the top of your head?
No.
How about Brittany?
No. I'd have to look at my phone.
I know, you just probably keep them in contact. Right?
Yeah.
So you said after she left, she got all her stuff and left about a week before. What kind of contact did you have with her during that week? Did you talk to her at all over the phone?
Not really. Because we kind of wanted to give her a week just to settle in with her house. We asked her how she was doing. I called her, but she didn't answer because she was in the shower. And then I texted her, and I was just making sure. I was like, oh, just want to make sure you were okay. And then we talked a little bit, and then she asked if she could come over that Monday for the bachelor, and I was like, oh, of course, like, we'd love to have you. Like, we want you here. And then she came over, and then she texted me I'm home, and then we'll text like videos to each other. So she sent me a video that night too, and that was kind of like the last of it.
What kind of video?
A TikTok video.
Did she have any boyfriends or any guy friends that she met at Mount Union or back here?
We hung out with fraternity guys, and like she had the same guy friends I did. She did have a boyfriend from about like December before break until January when she came back. They broke up.
So, was it like a month or so?
Yeah, very short.
Do you know his name?
Dom.
Dom.
Yeah.
So what made it break up?
He cheated on her on New Year's.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That'll make you happy.
No, yeah. So yeah, they broke up.
How did she find out that happened?
I had friends at the party that called me and told me, and then I told her.
Okay.
Yeah. So you had to break the news to her.
Yep.
Did she ever, you mentioned that she had the drinking episode. Any kind of like breakdowns or anything, or you mentioned that, she had a hard time finding out what she wanted to do, what she studied, but any like real bad episodes that you can recall, anything like that?
I mean, not bad. Like I've seen her cry, but not over like mean. I've seen her cry before over like just being stressed. I don't think she handled stress very well, so she cried over stuff sometimes when she got too stressed out. But other than that, not really.
And where's, I mean, how did you take the news about Dominic?
She was upset for like a while, but then she just kind of was just like, it's not meant to be. That's okay, and then she broke up with him.
Where's he from?
I think North of Cleveland area.
They have the words back and forth, or she just kind of like dumped him on text message?
Yeah, she dumped him over text. She was like, I found out, and she gave him a little bit to see if he'd tell her, and he never did.
Mm-hmm.
So she's like, I kind of don't like that you never told me, so I just think we should end things now, because it's not going to work out, basically, type of thing.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you talked about her anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me more about that.
I think since high school, Sydney's been dealing with anxiety. Like I said, she doesn't deal with stress well, so she gets in, like, if she's stressed about something, she kind of gets a little worked up over it. She went through a period in high school, in her junior year, where she just was, like, almost social anxiety. Like, she didn't like to, like, talk to people other than, like, our friend group, or go out to, like, restaurants or stores. Like, she wouldn't want to talk to cashiers and stuff like that. We kind of helped her and pulled her out of it, and we kind of, a girl, she went to the counselor, so, like, Sydney went to the counselor, kind of talked about it, and it got better after that. Like, senior year, she was more normal, I guess you could say, but I think junior year, she definitely struggled with it. And then in college, I think it got worse again, just because, like I said, she didn't know what she wanted to do, and I don't think her grades were what she wanted them to be. So, like, when she, like, was doing her grades and stuff, I think that kind of stressed her out, and that got her more upset when she couldn't figure out why she wasn't doing as well, I think.
Do you think that she talked to any counselors up there?
Mm-hmm. I don't think she talked to any counselors at Mount, because you'd have to go to the health center, which is across campus, and she never went there.
So when she's, you mentioned that she was having problems with her grades. Did she ever talk to you about the university's feedback, like if she was on like probation or anything, or any official status that they changed with her? So you weren't aware of anything like that with her?
I know the reason I kind of found out is because in the sorority I got an executive position, or I was in a position to where I knew she couldn't do something because her grades, so she was academically for her grades in the sorority.
When would that have been?
That was
semester-wise?
That was last semester. I kind of found out about that because we have a thing called.
Which would have been the fall.
Yeah.
This past fall semester.
We have a thing called Big Little, where like the older girls get a new girl, and they kind of like their mentors, and she wasn't able to get one, I guess, because of her grades. So that's kind of when I found out, because I was in a minor position then, where I helped pick the Big Littles. So I was like in the position. I kind of found out because of that.
And how did she react when she was, when you talked to her about that? Or did you talk to her about it?
I didn't bring it up until I was just like, hey, I know you can't get a little, and they said it's because of your academics. Is there anything like you want to talk about? She's like, they just messed up my transcript. Like, I didn't get as bad grades. I'm like, I don't really think that happens. But yeah, so she told me that they messed up her transcript, but then she came and told me the truth a little bit later that she did have bad grades.
And was that like this little thing, was that like towards the beginning of the semester? Or
more towards the middle to end.
Towards the middle to end? And that she did finally come forward and say that, did she mention specifically what her grades were? Mm-hmm. Just said that she was having some problems.
Okay. And how do you find out that it was all bad? How do you find out about that?
When it was like all the grades were pretty bad?
Yeah.
I never really found out what they were exactly. She told me that she was like, I kind of have bad grades. My friend Brittany kind of struggled with grades a little bit, so she's the first one who kind of noticed that she was struggling, because she had been in Sydney's position before, like her freshman and sophomore year, a little bit, so she kind of could tell, and she's the one who kind of like warned me about, talked to her about it, like just make sure she's okay.
It's like a probation thing, right? It kind of. And then, do they ever just like? Did you ever just know that she wasn't supposed to be there? Okay.
I never knew that. I think maybe maybe at the end she wasn't supposed to be there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it kind of felt like, but I never knew. Not really.
Because her name never appeared in the door,
No.
right?
Did you ever, was there any RAs that ever came and physically checked your suite there? See if she was staying there?
After she left. After she left. But before that, they came to talk to her.
So who's they when you?
The our RA. She came and talked to her, and then Red Light was also coming and talking to her. They'd come and ask for her, and she talked to them.
Do you know how many days before she left would that have been, or was it weeks or days?
It was weeks, like throughout the weeks that she was there, kind of on and off.
And then that night that you saw her, did she make plans like to see you again?
We were gonna hang out. We were gonna try to hang out again soon, like over a weekend or something, but not like official or not specific plans, I guess.
Okay. You don't come home on the weekends all the time?
I come home sometimes, but not often. But I knew because spring break was coming up, I was going to Florida, so we were making plans probably to see each other after spring break.
So, like back here in Akron, was there anybody that like you went to school with, or she at St. V, real good friends with, that she would spend time with when she was back home? Who would have been?
If she would have, it would have been either a kid who goes to Akron. His name's Lewis, but I don't think she ever contacted him because he didn't even know she left until I told him. So I don't know if she ever contacted him. And then we had another friend who goes to Kent. Her name's Emma, and I don't know if she contacted her either.
What's Emma's last name? Did she go to St. V?
She did.
So what about social media and stuff like that? Any social media she had?
She had Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter.
So did any of that ever look weird, dark, anything to you?
She never posted anything, so not
Okay.
really, no.
Okay.
Any guy friends that were back here in Akron that she hung out with?
Not really, no. When she was here, she usually used to hang out with her family. Like, her close friends were kind of the ones at school.
What's your relationship with her brother like?
They had, I think, like a normal sibling relationship. Like, they love each other, and they'll do anything for each other. They also, brother and sister argue and stuff like that. So I think it was pretty relatively normal. Like, she loved her brother. She told me that all the time. Like, I talk about Steven, she'd talk about Andrew. Like, pretty normal. Like, she liked to go to her brother's soccer games and his lacrosse games. She liked supporting him a lot.
Was she playing in any like intramural soccer up at Mount Union or anything like that?
Yeah.
Was she playing any back here in Akron, anything like that? So Lauren, what haven't we asked you? Is there something that you think that we need to know, or something you think that we might think is important that's weighing on your mind?
I don't think so. I think you guys have asked a lot of good questions. I think you've gotten a lot of the main things. Like, yes, definitely, she has had anxiety. I think is her big thing. I don't know.
You know, she ever went to a doctor, got diagnosed with it or anything like that?
I don't know.
Did she call it like? I guess I would say that's like to me like a serious word to call something.
Anxiety.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess this society, day and age, words kind of get it.
Right. That's what I was wondering, like, did she ever say, I went to a doctor and they said, I have anxiety, and then we just kind of carried it on like that?
No, she never said anything about going to a doctor. I don't know if it was diagnosed or, but I knew, we would call it, like, anxiety, I guess, even if it's just a small term for it, or a term that we just use because it's used a lot, just she was stressed a lot, I guess you could say.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then when it all goes bad, all of this, so how do you find out something bad happened to her mom?
So I know that I got called into my coach's office because the dean or somebody came in, and I was called into my coach's office, and they told me that something happened at the Powell residence, and they knew people were going to the hospital, but they just didn't know what happened. The dispute happened, and then my dad was coming to give me a suitcase, and so then my dad kind of told me.
Oh, did you guys go in Florida next
Yeah.
day or that? Yeah, because I remember him being here that day, like the next day or something.
2 days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh no, it was the next day.
Yeah.
It was the next day. Yeah. It was. Yeah. He kind of told me what happened. That my mom passed away, and kind of part of it.
So how did you feel about that? What were you thinking?
I was shocked, just because, like I said, Sydney and her mom were so close, and I kind of just was like, "What do you mean?" I think I was shocked and confused for a lot of it, and then I kind of, when I was on vacation, kind of figured that this happened, that something happened with her mom and her, and I don't know what, but I'm going to, I can't really help other than tell you guys what I know, I guess. I knew I can't do anything other than just be there for Sydney.
Did it shock you?
Yeah, it shocked me. I kind of was just kind of, like I was just like, no, kind of, maybe didn't believe it at first. I was like, no, this Sydney and her mom, like, maybe something else happened, somebody else was there, but obviously that wasn't the case. So I was just really shocked about it.
Have you talked to anybody in her family since this happened?
We talked to her dad, just like we sent flowers to the funeral, so he kind of thanked us and just was making sure we were okay. Basically, he was just making sure we were okay. We were making sure, like we said, if they need anything, we would be there for them, kind of that type of situation.
What about the other girls that are friends with Sydney? How are they?
They're okay. I think giving that week of spring break kind of let everybody kind of digest what happened. Like, we were all really upset that day or night. I know I wasn't there on campus, but the campus sent an email that Tuesday or that Wednesday. I wasn't there, but I heard everybody was talking about it, and it was kind of upsetting for some of the people that were her friends. Because they were just confused, because so many people loved her and never would have saw this coming. Not at all. Never would have saw this coming. So it was just a big shock to everyone. But like I said, having that week, and now I think not being at school because of the coronavirus has given everybody time just to like heal and kind of digest what happened and just hope kind of for the best.
So has anybody said anything like, we got negative naysayers?
Yes.
Anybody say anything bad? Like, news, this would happen, she asked him whatever, anything bad?
Not to me.
Okay.
Everything that I've, like, people, my friends have texted me, and people in my sorority, and it's all been very positive to me. During that week on spring break, I kind of turned off all my notifications for social media, so, like, I didn't see anything, or I didn't want to, kind of type of thing, just to kind of heal and not, but, I know from my friend that people were saying mean things on her social media page, her Instagram, because it was public. My friend told me that. I didn't go read it. But
is it Sydney Powell?
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I heard there was negative comments on her Instagram page about her, but like I said, I didn't read it. But everything I saw that people text me and stuff was just positive, saying that they're here for us and they love us, and kind of that type of situation.
You guys are like, so what are you doing now? Just online?
Yeah, online classes.
Are you guys back now for spring break technically, or?
So we had Monday and Tuesday off, and then yesterday started online classes. But I'm just living at home because they shut down our dorms. You can't live in the dorms anymore.
Just have a question. How did she usually? I know, like when you're at school, you get that card and everything, but did she pay for stuff with cash, or if it wasn't her like university card at the university facilities, if you went out, to a restaurant or something, how would she normally pay? If you know.
Either cash, or she'd get a debit card, or one of us would pay and she'd like Venmo type. She'd Venmo, we'd Venmo. That was kind of how it was. So either cash or her debit card.
So she did have an individual debit card?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yes.
Most of the food is, you guys eat off campus, or you guys like a kitchen and you do stuff at home?
So there's a cafeteria, and then we have in our school a cafe. It's called the B&B, where you can use your dining dollars there and eat money. But if not, it was at a restaurant or at our friend's townhouse, which they had a full-size kitchen, so we cooked there.
Okay. So how you feeling about
I'm okay now. The first couple days where I was kind of sad and just confused and shocked, but like I said, I kind of realized that the only thing I can do is kind of tell you guys what happened and kind of like what I know about her, and just know that I know Sydney, or knew Sydney, how she was, and that's all I can do is just support her and try to help as much as I can. Kind of that type of situation. Just I knew that there was nothing I could have done right now, or that situation, I wasn't there, I don't know what happened, so all I can do is just be there for people.
anything we haven't asked you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Well, Lauren, if you think of something, I'm going to give you my card. Your dad knows how to get a hold of us, but I'm going to give you my card. And if there's something that maybe you say, I wish I would have told Detective King, Lieutenant Winnats, or anything at all, or I should ask you, do you have any questions for us? Or I know there's probably a million things, but okay, I'm going to give you my card.
She's like, no.
And if you, like I said, if you think of something, or somebody says something and contacts you either through Instagram, whatever, says something that's really unusual, I don't know what that would be, but if there's something that sticks out to you, or just get a hold of us, okay?
I will.
Or they can call us.
So what are you studying? What are you studying?
Education.
Okay, so you're going to teach.
Little kids. I bet you little bitty baby kids too, right?
Now you were coaching in the fall, or it's back at St. Pete too, right?
Yeah, I coach. I'm the freshman cheer coach at St. Pete.
So you had time to do that in addition to cheering at the football games and everything?
Yeah, so I would go to class Monday through Wednesday, and then Thursday I'd go back home and coach the football games.
Wow.
And then I'd cheer myself on Saturday. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna walk you back down, and appreciate it.
Yeah, of course.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get right here, and then I'll take you down to where your dad's hanging out, okay?
Following the conclusion of the interview with Lauren, a disturbing picture began to emerge regarding the events that had unfolded. Sydney, who had quietly ceased her attendance at university without her family's knowledge, became embroiled in a heated argument with her mother regarding her academic situation. Regrettably, this argument escalated into a violent altercation, with Sydney ruthlessly assaulting her mother, initially using a cast iron pan and subsequently resorting to a knife, inflicting more than 30 wounds. Sydney was subsequently charged with 2 counts of murder, alongside other related charges. Her defense attorney contended that Sydney was grappling with undiagnosed schizophrenia at the time of the attack. Sydney's father, in an emotional plea, implored prosecutors not to pursue murder charges against his daughter, stating, "I don't know why you're doing this." During the court proceedings, it came to light that Sydney had been dismissed from Ohio University in December 2019, having previously been placed on probation, and had taken elaborate measures to conceal this fact from her family. After 9 hours and 23 minutes of deliberation, the jury ultimately found the 23-year-old guilty of murder, felonious assault, and tampering with evidence in connection to the tragic death of Brenda Powell on March 3, 2020. In response, the judge handed down a sentencing of an indefinite term of 15 years to life, following Sydney Powell's conviction on all charges linked to the fatal stabbing of her mother in their family home.